but we're going to talk football first with our good friend Mark Steven. I had to think about it, Mark, because there's a lot of things to get to with you, but it was a good news, bad news day for the Stampeders yesterday. Would you mind recapping it and filling our audience in?
Yeah, first, thank you. Good afternoon. It was, a pretty crazy day in Calgary. We got the news of something that had been speculated for a while, that John Hufnagel would be stepping aside into more of an advisory role. So he leaves the day-to-day, comings and goings of the Stampeders. Jay McNeil, who's been brought on just under, I guess, about a year and a half ago in a business role, now takes over as the team president. So he's in charge of everything. It's quite a story. He's a player. Played 14 seasons and went into a business career and then returned to the Stampeders. So he takes over as the boss of the Calgary Stampeders. While all this was going on, we were starting to receive word that one of the highest profile and most popular Stampeders in recent times, Bruce Covington, had passed away at the age of 57. And it was unexpected and caught a lot of people off guard. And there was a lot of emotion. In fact, they even did a video acknowledgement last night at the Flames game. So, this caught a lot of people off guard. So it was a day where a lot of good news came out that the Stamps were under a new direction in the sense that Jay McNeil has the top role, but very unfortunate on the Bruce Covington's passing.
Yeah, just terrible. And my condolences to you, Mark, and the Stampeders fans and all the rest with Tuna. Did his career, has yours completely spanned his? Because the years were somewhat close. Am I right?
There was an overlap. I was a reporter, not the broadcaster of the team, but I knew him from the day he got here. I mean, he was the first pick in 1992, and he came to the Stampeders. So I was with them from the day he talked to him regularly, from the day he arrived until I saw him most recently at a luncheon in October. So that would have been the last time I talked to him. So I've known him all the time and always had a chance to say hello to him. And he was a regular at the Stampeder practices and different events around the city as well. So, he was one of those larger-than-life figures.
Yeah, I got to meet him, too. Just a wonderful guy. He would converse on Facebook, too, when I wasn't in Calgary. Number 1 overall pick, multiple Grey Cups won, hell of a resume, and he left a big void. There's no doubt that will not be filled.
Yeah.
As far as the Hufnagel-McNeil news, will Stamps fans see any change to the naked eye with Huff out of this role and Jay in it?
Not really. I don't think so. I mean, one of John Hufnagel's many legacies is the fact that he's made some very, very significant transitions with seemingly no hiccups. I mean, he left the coaching ranks. He, became GM only, and then he left the GM spot only and gave it to Dave Dickinson. Or Dave earned it. And then also this move as well. There haven't been the massive upheavals that some other organizations go through. It's been a model of stability. So that's one of the many things he could take credit for, is the fact that, he kind of saw around the corner and had plans in place for all the inevitable transitions that would have to take place.
I got to ask you this, and I know you'll give me the honest goods. When things were tough for the Stamps in the summer and the fall, and you were there, you were calling the games, all those Stamps alumni were saying to me, they'll figure it out. They always figure it out. They'll figure it out. And dagnabbit, they did. I'm sure you would have liked to have hosted a playoff game, but you surpassed Sask in the standings to make the playoffs. Mark, one of these years it's going to catch you. Don't you? I think that's a dangerous game to play.
Well, I think it is to an extent that, here's what's happened the last couple of years. They've certainly been stalking Toronto and Hamilton with a lot of players. So, they're going to have to maybe do something a little different to maintain players. They've started to do that. They've signed some guys to multi-year deals, the guys that are their core. But I'll be blunt, there's going to be some guys that move on. They were 6-12 last year. So that was an indication that things weren't all as they envisioned. So, they will figure it out. I think they will. But they're going to have to make some modifications to an extent on some of their free agent strategies, and I think you've seen that already.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Hamilton in there in week 1, right? Yeah, that was a colossal oversight by the CFL last year, not having Hamilton come to Calgary, so they're going to rectify that at the first possible opportunity, and obviously it was good news, not only for Bo Levi Mitchell, but for people here that he patched over his differences with the Cats, and I mean, it's almost certain that he'll be here for opening day. I do feel like and I think you would agree, the football gods do eventually work things out properly in the end. Like maybe if Hamilton was scheduled to come last year, maybe Bo wouldn't have been able to play because of his injury. Now he will.
I agree totally.
Right?
Yeah, I agree. It was a tough year for him on a number of fronts, but health was one of them. He really didn't play all that much last year. So you're right. I mean, you can't guarantee anything, and he was hurt for the bulk of last year, and I have no idea when he would have slotted in to come to Calgary, but he might not have been on the trip. That's certainly a possibility.
Watching the Flames from afar, I feel like this decision will be made for them, that they need to scrap everything and go into a rebuild, because it's very evident to me they're not going anywhere. Will they reach that conclusion, or what do you think?
Well, I was there last night, and if they didn't reach that conclusion, they better in a hurry. This is just as good as this team is going to get, okay? They're a team that's kind of hanging around the playoff chase. There's sort of a maybe we can make it with a couple of breaks kind of thing, but this is as far as it's going to go. And yes, they're going to have to decide on a brand new direction. It's just not working. This is, as I say, this is as good as it's going to get. Look, they got two more games in what was sort of a vital homestand. They've got Columbus and Chicago. They should be favored against those teams. No guarantees, but let's just say they win based on the standings. That only makes this homestand, a 6-game homestand, 500. Again, that's not good enough. And they can't say, well, maybe these guys will beat Nashville tonight. That's where they are. And it's just as far as they're going to go. It's not good enough as currently constructed.
Just while I have you, the Scotties is in Winsport Arena, and I know you like to follow business as much as sports to a degree, and that facility has turned out to be better than I think they thought. Man, the tickets are almost gone. They don't even know who the field is. Well, I guess guess we do now. Just over the last.
I know what you're saying.
But yeah. Why is Calgary such a tremendous curling city in your mind? You've been there throughout.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're right about the Winsport facility. We lack sort of a medium-sized facility, a good one here. There's the Saddle Dome, but there's only certain events that make sense to be played in there. But as far as a sort of a next-tier facility, it fits in the middle. There's some smaller facilities. The Corral, which was the original home of the Flames, is gone. So that's one reason why it works. They've marketed it well. It's not only the home of curling. Remember, in the pandemic year, they held every single curling championship that mattered there. So that was really exciting. Number 3 is the Surge basketball team of the CEBL plays out of there and did quite well. And there's a number of, just tournaments, minor hockey tournaments and things that are played out of there. It's very busy. I mean, people outside the city, of course, see it during the high profile events, but it's always busy there with numerous tournaments and events going on. So it's a combination of things. And yeah, Calgary does have a reputation. One time when the Brier was held here, they had the record. It was since eclipsed, but no, it's had a good reputation, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be very exciting indeed.
If you can answer a quick one, Colin watching in Ottawa wants to know your take on Ottawa and their new starting quarterback, Drew Brown. What's that going to mean to the franchise?
Well, I hope it works out for them. I mean, there's been instability there on so many fronts, and those fans there have been kicked around so much ever since they played in the 18 Grey Cup. Is he the guy? He certainly showed flashes, but I'm going to caution you about this. It's a different world when you're the number one guy and people are focusing in on you. I'm not saying he can't do it, but remember, they went down this exact road with Nick Arbuckle. There were a few issues that didn't work out. It's not all Nick's doing, but it's a different world when you're the number one guy. Having said that, I do understand why they went out and did it. It's a bold, assertive move to get ahead of free agency and sign him to a deal. I'm not going to say he's going to guarantee success because they've got some other issues there bigger than quarterbacking. Hope Mazzola gets back, and the two of them give Ottawa some hope, because I think if I added it up right, since they played in the Grey Cup in 18, they're 14-54. That's just not good enough. So there are quarterbacking issues, but there's many other issues there as well.
That's really bad. Mark, appreciate it. Always appreciate it, man. Thank you. Chat with you soon.
Okay, take care. Thanks for the call.
The Stampeders voice and longtime outstanding Calgary broadcaster, Mark Stephen.